what can the Swedish government do politically to assist and help the situation in the Congo?
Thank you for the question. I think that to support us with the advocacy on two levels, the grassroots levels, to bring them to understand and to know their right, to take the right because they need to take it. And at another level is at the national level, especially with the leaders, to fight against impunity, to fight against corruption. I think there we need to address this question with the leaders of the country. And at the international level, I think that the Swedish government can help with advocacy, because the war in Congo is a war around minerals. And I know that the Swedish government can help with other countries to bring that this mineral can be a clean mineral who can be used in our high technology.
That actually leads me to the question that I wanted to ask during the discussion was that, and I'm just a musician, I'm not educated in this field, but for me, I don't understand why the international community and the government of countries like the United States or Canada, or for example Sweden, who has companies who are in the Congo, in Katanga, even in North Kivu, exploiting minerals and reaping the benefits of some of the wealth of the Congolese nation. Why can't the Swedish government, or what can the Swedish government do to demand a moral action from these companies that are in fact Swedish companies, and the money comes back to Sweden through legislation or through... I don't understand why we can't set these demands for our own people, our own companies, how they act in, for example, the Congo.
I think that the first thing is to stop the war, because if all these companies are getting benefit, it's because only the chaos in the country. There is no system of tax. I know many companies who are getting all things free. In Congo, they are not paying tax. And I think that there is maybe also some countries who are involving in this kind of business, and they know that if Congo, we can get peace in this region, so they will be obliged maybe to pay tax and things like that. And I think that it's possible to get all this mineral, but in a good way. And the first thing to do is to stop the war. And I know that there is countries who are fighting, that are doing their best to get this war going on, just because they know that when there is war, they can continue to exploit minerals and get it free. And this is, I think, that something who can be also related to the moral, because I think that it's... if you can see, you are in Congo and you can see how people are poor. Many people, they don't know even what is the value of all these minerals, because for them this mineral at least don't exist. So I think that the first thing for me is to stop the war, because the war in Congo don't have another meaning. It's only a war to get mineral without paying tax and so on.
But if it's then in the interest of the companies to keep the war going, because in fact they have to pay less taxes, they probably pay lower prices for the minerals. But if governments of Sweden, the government of Sweden, for example, could say to its companies that they cannot actually exploit minerals in this immoral way, is that not possible?
Yes, I think that there it's a little bit, because we need, all of us, we need our telephone, we need our computer, we need this mineral, because today we can't, on paper vivre, we can't live without our computer and our telephone. But I think that if you, like artists, and others can stand up and say, we want to get telephone, we want to get computer, but we want it clean. We want it. We don't want computer and telephone who cover with the blood of women of Congo. I think that this can make a difference, and I think your voice my voice, the voice of others, can make the difference. We are not, all of us are not specialists in war, in diplomacy and things like that. But the one thing that we can do is to raise our voice and say, this is not acceptable, because we know the reality. And I'm sure that many governments can change their policy if the population stand up and say, this is not acceptable. And that is the reason that for me it's just to give information. So you have information, you can use it, you can use your voice, you can use maybe the voice of other artists to say the things that is going on in Congo is not acceptable. And I'm sure that the government in the Western countries are listening to the grassroots.
Yeah, and that leads me to the last question, because as we see, for example, in the Arab Spring, change comes from the people, and then in turn forces the government to change. What do you think the Congolese people, the people of Bukavu or Goma or Kinshasa, can actually do to alleviate the situation in Congo?
Yeah, this is really a very important question, because I don't think that the leaders of Congo will just leave the power like this. The population, the grassroots, need really to act. They need to do something. But my impression is that when people are so poor, when people are living in the conditions that they're just waiting death, sometime to react is so difficult. And that is the reason I think that we need really to help the grassroots to understand the right, to take the right and use the right to ask if the government can't be accountable for the population. This is messed, because they need to give reports. They need to say what they are doing, how they are doing it. And there, I know that this can't happen if the population is not educated. And this is the reason that we and PNU, we are working for advocacy, and we think that if the civil society, if churches can come together and see and try to ask the government to make change, maybe something good can happen. I trust it.
I definitely hope so. Do you think that the people of the Congo are getting so fed up and angry with their government not doing anything that they will one day rise up and say, this is enough?
Yeah, I think that our goal is to help them to understand that things is bad. But you know, we need the grassroots to act, but also we need at the international level also to act. We need really to get some government who can help with pressure on the Congolese government to work for their own population. And that is the reason we need you. We need your voice. Yeah. And I'm very happy that really you can give your voice to women of Congo. It's really wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Mukwege.